Should I turn on echo cancellation or do you think we're fine?
It might be a good idea, but like I think we're fine for now.
Yeah, you sound great.
All right, good. I'm glad. New microphone, so I'm glad it works.
Yes, you're coming in great. Hi. Thank you.
Hello. No problem. Sorry for the technical errors.
I love your creative space. I'm feeling like all this white space isn't accurately representing me.
You'll get there.
This side of the room, though, pretty wild. I was thinking if you can introduce yourself, like what you're doing right now for work, what's happening in your life, and then we'll go back and see if you can share some stories about your childhood that can give us a glimpse into the young you, and then some pivotal life things along with your hair story in the middle, and then we'll end up right back here again. Kind of little.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hansheng Lee. I am Taiwanese-American. What I'm doing for work right now, oh man, I'm doing a lot. I've always been busy. I've always done multiple things and continuously learn. Continuously learn, continuously build, continuously grow. And what it's turned into is the Art Collective International, which is it's something that I've wanted to build since I was in probably high school. It's an ecosystem. It's a creative ecosystem that helps uplift other artists and also helps people who want to learn art and teaches, but it's an environment and an experience. At least that's what I'm aiming for. We're still a very new company and yeah, it's building, it's growing, it's beautiful and wonderful to be a part of. Like it's a privilege to like watch everything kind of happen and click together as it goes. But yeah, it's also super multifaceted with a lot of moving parts and it's exhilarating.
What's
Um,
happening inside?
so right now we are about to launch Featured Artists, which is a program that we wanted to start since the conception of ACI, which was we want to be able to uplift other artists that are maybe not so popular or haven't gotten their foot through the door yet and they don't know where to go. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have to like have finished college or anything either. This is for literally anyone who is interested in art. So Featured Artist is coming soon. We have a bunch of releases for courses for our Skool platform dropping at the end of March, April-ish, depending on timeline. And I just finished redoing my office for the most part, not quite organized yet. And then the 3D studio downstairs will be the next thing that's going to be fully converted to allow for us to, one, store a bunch of stuff for when we do artisan markets, and then hopefully do more video shoots down there too. I love the lighting in there, and yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot, but I'm having fun with it.
Is this going to be hosted online or are you going to be having in-person workshops?
I'll be hosting everything online. I'd love to do in-person workshops at some point, but we will see. There's a couple of places around the area that also have the facilities to host larger classes, and I wouldn't mind doing some instruction work there, but that is to be determined and farther down the line.
Um, yeah.
There is, oh, there,
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, there is one more big launch that's coming that I actually haven't released anywhere yet, so I guess you would be the first to find out. But we are launching the Art Collective International Media, ACI Media, so that we can get into bigger things like publishing, not necessarily publishing itself, but if you are a writer or a poet or you want something created for publishing purposes like a book, magazine, we'll do formatting, we'll do cover work, layouts, spreads, and all you have to do is find a publisher for it, like a printer for it.
Oh,
So that's also coming
this year.
this year.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, when you're ready, I would love to capture details about that because I know so many people who are very interested in Skool, who are authors or people who are right now working on books. I think there's such a need for a new type of magazine. So I didn't know if you meant like print magazine or digital magazine or both.
Either or, really. Basically, you give us your idea, we format it, we make the cover if you need us to, and then all you have to do is either get it printed or load it yourself onto whatever platform you want to share it with. So like Substack or in within Skool itself.
Yeah, that sounds that sounds awesome. I know, especially like I'm thinking like I know people with poetry, like a poetry magazine. Yeah, I'm gonna be sending them to you. I hope not too soon, but
Please.
I there's people who I know are doing good things on their platform, their social platforms, and I'm like, you guys, this is the place to be. But and I don't know if it's just that new person excitement. Do you feel like that too? Or do you feel there's you can anchor for real how Skool is different and exciting beyond
Oh
that
man,
new
Skool is
shiny new toy syndrome, I feel
shiny
like.
object syndrome.
Yeah, yeah.
So we launched our school in, oh man, August, July, June, somewhere of summer last year. And before that, I was already on the Skool platform in October. And it was such a vast difference as far as social platforms go. It was very drastically different. There was a lot less noise. There's no ads. There's no random weird algorithms. There's no commercials or just like annoying static that just goes around that you randomly see on all the mainstream. And I thought that was really nice. And at that time, we were also looking for a place to host all of our creative, like educational content and a place to host a community. So it kind of culminated and turned into this amalgamation of this is like the perfect time for this to happen, which is how we got here. But getting onto the platform, there is a slight learning curve. Not everyone knows how to rack up points because it is gamified. So not everyone knows that, oh, I should like other people's comments or that I need to actually interact and engage, like gain points to unlock different levels. And everyone's school is also set up so differently that some people's schools don't have anything within their level ranking systems. And then others are like, reach level 5 and get like X or reach level 7 and get Y, and then grand prize is, Z. But I think for what it is, it's a beautifully thought out platform. I mean, there could be some things that are better, but I could say that about literally everything. But yeah, I think for new people coming in, it can be a little overwhelming, a little bit of, oh, like Dorothy stepping into Oz and going, what is this place? Because there's so much in Skool. Like there's hundreds of different courses held by different people on so many topics that if you're looking for community, if you're looking to learn something, you can absolutely find it if you kind of also do the legwork and seek it out a bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I found it super overwhelming and I kept getting pulled in lots of directions when I first came in, but every day I adjust and find the flow that works for me. I still get lost sometimes. The notifications, I do need to ask somebody. I know how we can adjust them to just be in one person's community, but I'm in the habit of just seeing all of them. And I really like to think I can knock out the notifications, but it turns out to be
I can definitely help you with that after.
okay. I want to ask where you grew up and what how you were when you were a kid, just taking in the world, especially as a creative. I love when I do that when I like meet people in person. It's like I want to hear a little bit about what they were like when they were little, and then later I can see the similar. I can still see that little essence in them, and I find it very fascinating to see the things that we were drawn to when we were kids and how that shaped us as adults perceiving the world.
So I grew up I mean, it's actually a really great point. I grew up dual citizen, Taiwan and like American. So I got ferried back and forth between both countries and cultures. I always call myself like an interloper with one foot in tradition and one foot in the modern, but it's also on both sides of both countries, if that makes sense. And as a child, I grew up like, at least when I was in the States, it was always you're outside, you're gonna go and explore. We didn't really have TV. It was like maybe what, three or four channels. And then I would just roam the backwoods and the creeks and like flip logs, catch random animals and study them. And I loved, and I still love science and animals as an adult. I don't think that will ever change. But it was either that or I was within the garden just with my grandmother, either picking vegetables or like planting things, harvesting, or with my mother in the front garden with flowers and smelling them and still catching random creatures and insects and reptiles. And a huge part of my childhood was pretty much food, nature, science, being outdoors, and then like always having a sketchbook or a notebook with me to draw and write. So like that was the scope of my childhood. And then weekends it was just you're not here's your like packed lunch, go outside. You're not coming back inside until it's dark. But what 90s? So 80s, 90s, that it's kind of I feel like that's so unheard of now, which is crazy to
Uh,
me. But yeah, like I would just draw things or write things about what I picked up, what I captured, what I saw, creatures. I mean, really anything. And it really gave me a huge freedom to just, oh, these are my thoughts. This is my space. This is where I can kind of put these things together and really get a grasp of what does a tadpole look like when it's throughout all these phases from like eggs to like growing legs to its tail shrinking in and then fully turning into a frog or life cycles of a butterfly, watching a caterpillar grow, which I mean, I still do that as an adult today. So I guess I haven't changed too much. Well, some ways, but for the most part, still very much the same. I still carry a sketchbook as an adult. I have a lot more pens. I have a full-on backpack now of, I don't want to say emergency kit, but kind of for any situation. Miniature scissors for if I need to take a plant clipping, or like plastic baggies if a friend is like, hey, there's this one random thing and I don't know what's on my plants. I'll be like, all right, well, stick it in a bag, bring it home, and then if I can figure out what's wrong, I can figure out what's wrong. But yeah, just pretty much that.
yeah, it's
But
the
like,
food as well. You mentioned food, and that it's still such a joy and an interest,
oh, I love
right?
food. I my first ventures. Okay, so my grandmother was a phenomenal cook. Everyone in my family cooks, to some varying degree. And I mean, I grew up around food. It's such a huge part of Taiwanese culture, but food in general is a thing. Like everyone eats, everyone has some kind of a memory connected to food, whether it's family gatherings or holidays or whatever. But like food in Taiwan is love. Food in Taiwan, it's love, it's life, but it's also like it's nourishment. It's things that are very conscious, and you can find food almost 24 hours a day still, maybe less so post COVID, but I grew up around like food from literally farm to table. So when I was in Taiwan, and I guess this circles back to the other point of my childhood, I was raised on my grandmother's farm. It was a massive piece of, well, I guess to any child, anything that size is massive. But my babysitters were a water buffalo, 30 or so Formosan mountain dogs, and like three geese who were like, I know that people shit on geese all the time and call them evil, but I don't think that all geese are inherently innately evil. Maybe just Canadian geese. Um, but it was a wild, wild time. Like, there's a picture somewhere where I'm just completely passed out coming in from the field. Like, I'm splayed out on this beautiful, massive water buffalo. I'm conked out. I don't know. I didn't know this photo was taken. And it's just my grandmother, the reins, water buffalo, me passed out, and a cart behind it. And I need to find that picture, but it's still one of my fondest memories. The picture itself and that day, I still very clearly remember in my mind. Like, yeah, the smells, the nature. But leading into, I, I think I was 4 or 5 when I really started to develop I like food. I love to eat. What grandma makes is delicious. I kind of want to see what this is about. And I lived in a multifamily household for a hot minute. And my aunt always chased me out of the kitchen and was like, "You are a boy. You're not allowed to cook at home. This is not your domain," and all this other bullshit. And being a sassy little 4 or 5 year old, I was just like, then how come all of the chefs at the restaurant are men? And she just got so angry and red in the face. And my grandmother just started laughing, like just laughing. And then she picked me up and put me on the counter and was just like, okay, you sit, you watch, you learn, and we'll go from there. And that's when I started cooking. I still very clearly remember that day. My aunt was pissed. She stormed out of the kitchen pissed. And I was just like, I mean, was I wrong? But yeah. So that kind of was the catalyst of me really starting to cook. And then, I don't know, I think by like 5 or 6, I was cooking my own breakfasts and little snacks and then my own meals by the time I was probably like 9 or 10, something along those lines. But I love food. I think that food is one of the most universal languages of one, art, and two, love at its core. Food will always be something that I do and work on. And I mean, it's kind of a non-negotiable. I mean, I don't cook as much as I do now because running a business, you kind of don't always have the time to be in front of a stove unless your job is in front of a stove. Before COVID, my husband and I were actually about to open a tea house. And then COVID happened. Oh, I think we got the official shutdown about a week before we were about to sign all the papers and documents. And that turned into, oh shit, okay, we need to pivot. Gas is going to be on hold. Don't know for how long. But yeah, so that's what led me into the Art Collective International because that was the other, all right, goals. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What do I not want to do? And yeah.
Love that you have so many little avenues you can go down, right? That pivot
I
is
mean,
like the culture and the enjoyment of tea, I feel is so.
oh,
Do you feel like it's really nice to have so many interests where you can still take that little joy and be, okay, well, I could put it over here and see what works?
absolutely. Okay. I often get asked the whole like, you do too much. And I guess that's not really being asked, that's being told. Like, you do too much. You do so much. When do you sleep? And the answer is I sleep like 4 to 5 hours a night. It's genetic. My mom's the same way. And then as far as I do too much is, well, maybe you don't do enough. As an adult, that's my fire back now is, well, maybe you don't do enough. Because if you think about it, going back to Renaissance era, and I'll just, I guess, stick to the arts for now, but all the great masters didn't just make paintings or just only do sculptures or only do drawing or only wrote or only, it was a culmination, an amalgamation of things. It was a blend of things. And I'm not trying to say that I want to be a modern day Renaissance man by any means, but I aspire to be. I I don't believe in limiting myself because I don't believe that art should be limited. And I mean, if you have a focus and you have a love of one particular thing, by all means run with it if that is your thing. For me, it's I want to run in every direction and I don't feel the need to say I shouldn't. So Oh,
Sorry,
good. Me too.
I have moments of that made me really happy. So I was trying not to let my neurospicy reaction.
Hey, Nero Spicy also. And you should. It's you. It's genuine. Be you. Let yourself let yourself be all of you.
So
I mean,
it's
I know that's really hard to do.
it's to no, this week is I'm trying to cap it because it's one of those sometimes it's overflowing, right? So and I told myself this morning, I might cry because I can feel it. Your creative spirit makes me really happy. And it taps into uh it's I guess it's a sensitive spot. I'm not trying to make I'm just sharing it's a good thing, but it comes up and it's new for me. Giving myself permission to like really explore as an adult, like something that was there when I was a kid that I never really explored. Um and it's bringing me this
No, you still
overwhelming
have
sense of joy. So when I see like just that sentence hit me and I was like, "Oh, shit, am I gonna laugh, throw my arms up or cry?" And it's okay, but it is like this whole week has been an overflowing of I gotta just go with it, even though to me it doesn't make sense.
good.
It's like I'm an
Good. I'm
alien and I've
glad.
just landed in my human body.
I mean, good. So the amount that like modern day society tries to cap creativity, and which is another reason why ACI was like on my docket of goals that I wanted to do. Just maybe not the order I was thinking, but hey, the universe works in weird ways and you just flow with it. What's the first thing that always gets cut in funding for education, public education?
Arts, yeah.
The arts. But art is the one thing that is everywhere. It's in everything we do, everywhere we go, everything we see, everything from the cars we drive, the clothes we wear, the colors that are chosen, how want your furniture. Literally everything was designed somewhere. That's still the arts. And what is the first thing that gets cut? The arts. Why? So I believe in art accessibility. I think that's fairly obvious. And yeah, you should explore and deeply find all those little avenues and channels, the little crevices, the little grains, the little pebbles, the little specks. Because if it lights you up, if it brings you that semblance of, oh, this is very much innately me, you should run for it. There's no reason that you shouldn't. I mean, maybe within like some semblance of scopes and bounds. And I say this as someone who does like a lot because there's things that I do outside of ACI that has, I wouldn't say no overlap, but I'm a certified landscape designer. It is technically art. It's
So, yeah.
also it is still technically art. It is the middle ground of like two of my loves, which is art and then gardens and plants and vegetables and flowers. And I don't know, I feel my life just oddly kind of trained me to navigate a lot of multiple avenues, but that is a much longer
Yeah.
story. But we have this one finite life, and I'm not saying to drive yourself crazy. I'm not saying to go spend all your money and not pursue anything and everything. But if you have an interest and it makes you happy and you have the means to, and you can find a way, and I talk about this a lot within ACI's courses of you don't need the best things to make art. You just need the basics. You can do that anywhere and anything. The dollar store's seed packets will still grow as long as you nurture it correctly. And sometimes nurture means neglect it because some plants just prefer that. If you want to do it, you'll find a way. Plain and simple. At least I know it's not always that simple, but the broad, broad strokes of it are.
Can I ask about that pivot when COVID hit and how having interest and passions and being like, okay, now I'm going to set up this to make money and kind of build out. I don't know if you had done it specifically like that for business before. Was it easy? Just not easy. Did you find it easily tangible to align the money making part with the passion and be like, okay, now this is what we're doing?
So I grew up in an entrepreneurial family of restaurateurs and business owners. So for me, it was kind of second nature. I am very lucky and privileged in that aspect, in a lot of aspects actually. But I, man, that pivot was kind of a huge, what to
Oh
cuss.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a huge what the fuck. I had been watching on the sidelines like the things that were happening overseas, and I was like, oh shit, okay, this is something we should pay attention to. But we had just initiated paperwork. We had just started filling out the forms, looking at who our providers would be and who our sourcing would be, and really shaping out and figuring out what Tawa Tea House was going to be. And like we had gotten down to the menus, the people we wanted to use for produce and meats and all of this. And I mean, I think it was like exactly a week that when we got the call that like, hey, the US is shutting down. This might not be the greatest idea. And I had a lot of friends who were like, you should just do it. The bank's giving us like 6 months free rent and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay, hold on a second. So what happens after that? Because I plan in the long, broad spectrum. I have a very weird methodology of planning, but it works for me. And I feel as a neurodivergent, I kind of need to have that, but that's beside the point. It was kind of okay, shit, double shit. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Because we were literally so close to teeing off that it was kind of like all right, what do we do now? What do I know? And so I extended my contract with the companies that I've been working with before to ride out COVID. I had my husband just kind of pull himself out of the public so that he wouldn't get sick. And we kind of ruminated on this and thought about it. And I landed on, well, I am an artist one way or another. Creating is still like making art is still creation. It doesn't have to be culinary creations. All right, let's go for it. Let's shoot for the other street and other avenue because I had planned on doing this completely flipped around. And now we're here. I'm so glad that this happened though. I've met some amazing people through the Skool communities and like the local communities and the international communities. Everyone's kind of just been super super nice but welcoming, but it also kind of just feels like it fits. So yeah, it's been I mean, I won't say I let it go because I haven't. I still have every single file, every single recipe, every single thing that I've worked on. And I'm not really the type to give up, but I'm not saying that I'm going to get this one business going and then turn around and immediately open a restaurant either. It's kind of maybe in 5 to 10 years when things have really settled down and things have really eased and I can step away from a main role here, I can have a smaller side business, maybe not a full scale tea house like I was planning, but a little eatery that can bring a little bit of my home and traditions. And there's a decent Taiwanese population here too, so give people a taste of their home and their culture and history. Like it's it's hard, but I mean, I still cook at least 2 or 3 times a week, if not more than that. I think I actually cook for my dogs more than I cook for myself at this point. But y'all are spoiled. But yeah,
I hear a lot of business experience in there, and I wonder if that might be something in the classroom where what the decisions, the story and the decisions you had to make after deciding, okay, I'm not going to do the tea house. What am I making? What am I showing people? Where am I putting it? Right? So who's watching me now that wants to be involved in this on social media, right? Like all of those questions. And then there's always correct me if I'm wrong. I've done a few little online businesses. To me, there's always the right way and the wrong way. Like taxes, there's like a right way and the wrong way. And I've done both, and now I prefer to just really do it right the first time. Like when I'm building something, like just set it up right the first time. Get the
Oh
and
man.
how so many people, especially as artists, we have this and you can correct me or but we have this some people it's a blessing that you have that all of these things and also the business side because so many of us or I see a lot of artists like making the thing and then not maybe not so good talking to people about their thing, right? There's like, can I just pump out my art or my craft? But like, and then to be like, well, no, you need to talk to people about it. And you also have to like know how to set it up, whether it's in person, business stuff, your taxes. And it's like numbers, like not to say that artists
There
aren't into numbers, but like, it's like, that is such a,
I'm not into numbers.
it's a
I
lot.
am okay. I'm so both of my parents are like human calculators. They can do like very intricate, complicated math from their heads. It's fucking crazy. So I grew up trying to like, or rather hearing about this expectation. And I'm just like, okay, that's nice. That's not me. And I, from a very young age, am, and I've recently been reading up on human design, but I'm very much I know who I am. And I'm not going to really conform to otherwise. I'm not one of those that's really you bend. I would say that I'm malleable, but not really bendable, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So like I have these two also multiple degree holding parents that have really high expectations. And my mother was by no means a tiger mom who like you have to get straight A's, but she was kind of a you can't be stupid. You have to have common sense. You need to know what you want to do. You need to be a hard worker. You need to figure this out. You can do just about whatever you want, but you need to have a plan. You need to figure this out and know that I love you, but I cannot always help you. So your ass is going to have to pull yourself out. And we grew up kind of poor. So that was another huge point of figuring out, all right, how do I fail upwards if I fail? How do I fail forward if I was to fail? How do I fail faster if I'm going to fail? And I mean, the great thing about having a lot of entrepreneurs in the family and business owners and people who work businesses, I can kind of watch and learn and try to not make the same mistakes, try to not fall down the rabbit hole of, well, they did this, I should do this, but it's also not the same business. And you are so right in that they do not teach artists how to make money or run a business in school. Yeah, you get a couple of like keystone products and capstones here and there and all that, but there is nothing about how to set up your tax documents or how to register with the state commission or how to file things and under what tax code and what brackets and what you can deduct and what the government considers, what you consider is not always the same verbiage, but it is the same thing. So like navigating that was kind of nice to have a little bit more of a leg up. And I'm not saying that I did that perfectly because when well, I had this idea, I sat down, I talked to a good chunk of my friends about it and was kind of feeling around. It was like, would anyone be interested in partnering and running this as a partnership instead of me running a company solo by myself, which is infinitely harder to do than having people working as a team that we can all kind of become different parts of an engine and like work towards something together. And I mean, some people fell off, some people came in, and that's how we landed here. And I'm ever so thankful for my partners. They've made this journey incredible. And I am so honored to work alongside such amazingly talented people who have their own passions and their own things. And sometimes we overlap on things, which is like even better. Because in the art world, you're also taught like it's super competitive. You can't make the same thing as anyone else, but you can't make the same things. This is literally the situation of the wine and paint your like wine and paint or whatever's or the you know what I'm saying. You have one instructor who teaches you how to do everything, and but like within 20 people, every single painting is going to be completely different. And even then, you might have one person who's great at making a reproduction of the instructor's painting, but I mean, that's still not going to be the same. It's not going to have the same depth. It's not going to have the same feelings. It's so great to be in an environment where I don't feel that kind of competitiveness, where I have to compete with my peers and people that I work alongside. We can all make things and it will all be different regardless, and we are okay with it. It's not something that I feel is very common. And I'm not trying to say I'm trying to shake the art world up and turn it on its head or anything. That is if that happens, I'm not going to be mad either. But my expectation of ACI at least is, are we going to be for everyone? No. Are we here to help you foster and grow your passions and your art? Yes. Do we want you to do it at your own pace, at your own level, at your own capacity? Also, yes. Because let's be honest, burnout culture is way too real. And I'm probably a really shitty example of this because I literally probably work like at least 12-hour days. But it wouldn't be any different if I had opened my own restaurant because that's even longer hours. And from a restaurant standpoint, that's a tea house that has baked goods. That's probably something along the lines of like 3 a.m. to 9 at the earliest. So it's a give and take of what you choose to do, but a lot of this also doesn't feel like work to me because it's things that I love doing. I can spend hours drawing or painting or working with a client or figuring out and problem solving. And this goes for the scope of everything that I do, whether it is figuring out and problem solving or creating or trying to like generate ideas in a sense. It's all very it drives me because it's creativity at its basic core, especially if it's content writing for like recipes or other blogs or other websites or recipe development or just client work of like, hey, I need a cover for this and it's this and this is what I want. This is the color scheme and I have no idea where to go. And I'm like, okay, well, here are some options. Let's shoot from there and see where it lands and see what really speaks to you and what really matches you. And yeah.
What are your thoughts about potentially seeing a little bit of business in your classroom for artists?
Think I do have a section in not the classrooms yet, but in the what is it, the tabs? That's art and business. I purposely have that tab just to kind of leave that open for anyone who does want to discuss this further. And if there is interest, I'll happily talk on it because life is fucking hard. We're humans, we're social creatures. If we can just help uplift each other, it's not the end of the world and it's not hard to be kind. And I say this like some people will tell you I'm the nicest person in the world and some people will tell you I've ruined their lives and you should believe them both. Like what did you do to drive me to that point? And on the if any of y'all are hearing this who keep saying that I ruined your life, the person who ruined your life is yourself. Peace be with you. And I mean, yeah, I'm ex-corporate. I did 17 years in corporate and I have a bitch streak. I'm also a gay man and my mother did not raise me to be a rug. But I still choose to lead with kindness and lead from a position of care and I feel that's deeply missing nowadays. You can have all the knowledge, capabilities, and abilities in the world, but at the end of the day, no one ever does anything alone. Truly, no one really builds a business alone. Even people who open their own business, and you still have connections, you still have people you talk to, you still have suppliers, you still have, unless you are literally physically making something from the ground to the thing that's coming to mind is you go out, you dig your own clay, you make your own ceramic, and then you make your own glazes, and then you built your own kiln, and then you built your own shop, and then that's the route you're going. Like, sure, I'm sure someone could do that. But in 2026, I doubt it. And it's not hard to just help. And it's not hard to be there. Um, And I'm not saying that as to anyone out there who's, oh, I can be there for everyone. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you know, kindness is something that is so often overlooked, especially in recent political climates. I say this as a gay Asian dual citizen. What we're looking at is each other when we should be looking up. What we easily can keep each other going and really foster some deep sense of connections to other people and build together and work together, because isn't it just so nice when you can all win? It's not this crazy concept of, oh, I got to be the best. I have plenty of things that I'm interested, plenty of things I'm good at, plenty of things I'm great at, but also a very just as big pile of list of things that I suck at. If we all work together, then sometimes it sucks a little less. Um,
I concur. And I like to see that happening on Skool, people showing up for each other. And I accidentally found myself having conversations where I could feel that and genuinely see what that looks like live, having two political perspectives and being able to still show up and support each other, even in holding someone's story and allowing them to share that, and me not, or anybody not having to do anything with it, but let it be their experience and letting that be okay, right? And that was neat for me because I wasn't really sensitive to picking that up in other people. Um, and it wasn't top of mind until stuff started to come up where somebody would mention something. I'm like, oh, whoa, I'm okay. But will the listeners be upset? And I never had that happen before. And I had to say, like, it's not, no, you shouldn't. What kind of space do I want to create? And I want somebody to be able to express themselves um, without that someone else having to correct
censor
them.
themselves.
Yeah, even if I don't agree with it, it's like that's their experience, and I don't know who that person's going to be in 5 years from now or 2 years, and
Yeah.
and even then I
No,
don't care, but I do want to hold space for that person to express their journey because there's something, especially I don't know. So I'm saying it was neat because I hadn't experienced that, and because I'm more sensitive to the landscape now, because that's kind of what's happening. I thought it would be desensitized, especially after uh, you know, for all of us, the past 5 years. But I'm actually gotten more sensitive where I was like, oh, and how to navigate that has been interesting.
I don't I don't think that's a bad thing though. I think we need more of it.
Mhm.
Like I feel, I mean, and I say this from the American standpoint of people here are very into themselves, a vast majority. And I'm not saying everyone, but to have a society that works together, that thrives, and I'm going to use Taiwan as my other point because I am also Taiwanese, and the two sides of that coin, like in Taiwan, there was what, maybe 500 people got COVID and everyone masked up, everyone stayed home, everyone did their duty, people stayed safe, less people died. We didn't lose 500,000 people. Versus over here where it's like, well, my rights and toilet paper and A, B, C, D, E, that's great, but you can't have a society if everyone's dead. This goes right back to working with each other.
Yeah.
Like, people rise together, and whether or not you choose to believe it, whether or not you want to believe it, you don't have to. It is your right whether you want to or not. But at the end of the day, at least for me, I feel happier, more fulfilled, more alive, and more in sync and in tune with what I believe in and with what I have to offer with the universe than just wholly thinking about myself. So, yeah. But also, eh, the political climate is currently in Tartarus.
I I appreciate you showing up for this. I have a lot of friends who I know want to feel like the pain and the issues are highlighted and not masked over. However, I personally, for my mental health, have to come forward with it, how I manage. So this is how I manage is my mental health is uh, by connecting with people and finding the things that light us up and make us feel like human and where that connection is. And it's not an avoidance of what's happening in the world. It's just I feel like we all have in our personal lives such a realism also happening, and that the need to um, jump into our creative side is even more so, right? So I'm saying that also just to put it out there. Like I'm not purposely trying to not address things that are happening. I feel like there's happening all over, and I want to make a space where we can take a little breath together and be re-inspired. And so I think I'm just trying to reinstate what it's about.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's a fantastic reason. And I think we need more of it. And I will say this about Skool. Skool is the one social platform outside of Substack that like I don't feel the animosity, the toxicity, the I mean, yes, there's definitely competitiveness, but I think it's healthy. At least from my experiences on Skool, I think that it's been healthy. I think and feel that I mean, everyone that I've met has been so caring and careful and I mean not even careful, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's been even across everyone. It is very much there's compassion, there is kindness, there's a sense of community that is like we are all on Skool. We are all working together. We are all trying to uplift one another. And it doesn't matter if we're in the same quote unquote niche. It's still a you can do your thing, I can do my thing, because at the end of the day, it's such a vast world. There's plenty. And we can literally like, and I think that's why I also really resonated with Skool is that the scarcity mindset. And my grandmother was a post-depression era grandma. So I very much so get the scarcity mindset. And which also makes my parents the boomers of and post-depression era children. I get it. But to progress, we also have to let go what doesn't serve us anymore. And I think Skool does a really good job of shifting what a lot of social media has turned to, which is ads, revenue, 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 money, 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 money. And yes, Skool is still a means and a living. But within that ecosystem, within that environment, it is way more intimate. I know there are people that I've never met. And I mean, I'm also of the generation that was like internet just came about and you had friends from all over the world that you've never met in real life. And I think Skool is a great way of kind of bridging that little gap into showing boomers and people who are a little bit older than our generation what it means to have friendships that aren't, oh, this is Susie from next door or Brittany from across the street or David from down the lane. You can have real connection. It still requires just as much work, but it is still a thing. And even better is you can find people that are going through the same turbulent, that are in the same ocean with it as you are. We may not be in the same boat. We may not be in the same type of boat. We may not even be like super, super close, but we're on the same damn ocean. We're all drifting along together. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful space. I'm really excited to see where it goes. And sorry, I totally derailed, but I'm
No,
also neurospicy too. So,
I um
but
I love where this went, and I kind of want to honor that, and if it's okay to kind of let this be our wrap up of that, and not have to.
absolutely.
I know we didn't. There's kind of, selfish curiosity. I want to know about your mom, and I wanted to, I definitely want to get a hair story. I feel like, is it okay if we do at another time a part two? And there's just,
Absolutely.
you have so much.
I
So I kind of want to honor
people
this in their little.
no, no, that absolutely. I would love to.
Okay.
And here's the other thing, like people are so everyone has a story. Like everyone has vastly different lives and everyone's heart is different. Everyone's easy is different. And like capturing something in a 1 hour interview podcast type is really hard to do. And I'm like, holy shit for you, girl, because like trying to write people's bios for featured artists has already been I have to fit all of what into what.
Yeah.
I have how much finite space? But like, I mean, you're doing it. And it's beautiful to watch. And thank you so much for having me on here
Thank
as part of
you.
this.
Thank you. And thank you for working with me on a new platform and sharing what you did and being vulnerable. I really, you filled my heart up today. So thank you. And for showing
I
up.
think that's a two-way street.